Hello, 7th and 8th graders. I have a video for you today. We're going to move pretty quickly. We are working on tenses. Okay, the three fundamental tenses, past, present, and future. I'm not going to belabor the point. I do want to remind you of a few things. We've talked about this before. Verbs have voice, active and passive. Active is something that really works well in your creative writing. I ran. The superhero stopped the villain, ran through a wall, etc. Passive voice is something that is something like the milk was spilled. We don't know who did it. It's passive. There's not really any action going on. It's more like a reporting on what happened. So passive voice is not as good for your creative writing, better for research writing. But I just wanted to remind you of voice. Also wanted to remind you of mood. We talk about the indicative mood. That's what we'll be talking about today. I call that the everyday mood. The imperative is the command mood. And the subjunctive is the may or might mood. Fun fact, in Greek, the optative mood is the might, less than 50% chance, the possible, and the subjunctive is the probable. But in English, they don't make that distinction. So 7th and 8th graders, without further ado, these are the railroad tracks of time. Thank you to those of you who have built these for me many years ago when you were younger students. I really appreciate that. Let me review what this means. Oh, Charmander. Oh. Seriously? Oh, Charmander. I feel so bad for you, buddy. All right, he's back. Hello, Charmander. Hello. Okay. 7th and 8th graders, I just got interrupted by somebody. I wonder. So, present tense, this is I run, okay, I run, I walk, and notice the action is right here, it's right here in the moment. That's what present tense is. Let's talk about past tense. Past tense is something that has already happened. It's already happened in the past. Okay, I ran, I walked, I jumped. Okay, past tense. And future tense. Future tense is something that will happen in the future, future tense. So the railroad tracks of time are showing you that as you're moving, something will happen in the future. I will find what happened to Charmander. I will find out soon after this presentation. So that's your future tense. Quick review there. Progressive tense, of course, all in the indicative mood. This is the still going on tense. Notice the red lines don't stop. At some point in the past, I may have been doing something. But right now, I am giving a presentation. Right now, I am giving a presentation. So that's how that looks. The past progressive looks like this. Okay, so at some point, I was doing something. I was doing something. Notice the linking verb to be. It was, right? I am, I was. And let's go to the future progressive, which is I will be. At some point in the future, I will be running. I will be running. I will be working. Hopefully, at some point in the future, okay? Future progressive. All right, let's talk about the perfect tense. The perfect tense is the tense of completed action. That's what literally the Latin perfectus means. It doesn't mean like what we think. It actually just means completed in the ancient sense. So look at the line there. It's completed action. The red line matches the black. Present perfect. I have run. The past perfect. I had run. At some point in the past, I had run. Here we have it. Past perfect. And future perfect. Okay. So the future perfect is I will have run. So I don't know what's been going on in the past or the present, but I know that I will. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I will have run. I will have run the race. I will have finished this presentation. Hopefully with no more incidents with Charmander, my friend. Okay. Now let's talk about the one I want to talk about today. So today is going to be about the perfect progressive And then it's going to be some fun extra sentence diagramming for all of you. So here we go. Present perfect progressive. Notice we have the line there, present perfect progressive. How are we going to write this out? Well, I shall show you. First of all, 7th and 8th graders, you've seen this many, many times. I'm not going to belabor the point on first, second, and third person. For the present perfect progressive, we're going to do the verb. I've been doing run on the other video, so let's do to walk. This is the present perfect progressive in the indicative mood, right, in the active voice. So this is I shall, oh, oops. I am way wrong there. Nope, nope, nope. I have been running. Second person singular, you have been running. Third person singular, he, she, or it has been running. First person plural, we have been running. Second person plural, you plural have been running. And third person plural, they have been running. Notice the two auxiliary verbs helping us here with the present perfect progressive of, oh, I did it the same thing. I keep have running on the brain. I say that I'll do walk, but I actually do run. This is just my personality, I guess. So there it is. I have been running. You have been running. He, she, or it has been running. We have been running. You, plural, have been running. They have been running. This is the present perfect progressive. So, moving on to the past perfect progressive. Let's put the past perfect progressive right here. Okay, and this one is going to go right there at some point in the past that happened. Past perfect progressive. Past perfect progressive. So let's talk about the past perfect progressive. Let's go with I had been running. I had been running. You had been running. He, she, it had been running. We had been running. You, plural, had been running. You had been running. And they had been running. They had been running. So this is the past perfect progressive of the verb to run. I had been running. You had been running. He, she, it had been running. We had been running. You, plural, had been running. And they had been running. That's the past perfect progressive. All right, so let's move on, 7th and 8th graders, to the future perfect progressive. This is the last one. Last one. Okay. I will or I shall have been running. Okay. That is the future perfect progressive. Okay. Future perfect progressive. Erase these best I can. One thing I need to remember to bring from school next time I go is some of the good cleaner stuff, because I definitely can tell I'm going to need it. I shall have been running, or I will have been running. You will have been running. He, she, it will have been running. We will have been running. You, plural, y'all, will have been running. And they will have been running. I know it sounds artificial, but this is how verb tenses work. You just got to get used to it. No matter how weird it sounds, these do actually show up in life. They actually do. I know it doesn't look like it, but they do. I shall have been running. I will have been running. You will have been running. He, she, it will have been running. We will have been running. You, plural, will have been running. They will have been running. So, there you have it. Let's talk about follow-up, and then let's have some fun. Okay? Follow-ups, middle schoolers. Follow-up, let's do 3 verbs. Let's do walk, smile, and play. But you're going to have to do each of them in the, these are the perfect progressive tense. And for each one of these, you're going to have past, present, and future. So you're going to have 3 of those charts for each one. Past, present, and future. So you'll have a total of 9. You'll have a total of 9 of those charts. So 9 of these guys. You'll have a total of 9 of those because you're going to have to do the past, present, and future of the perfect progressive for all of those verbs. Walk, smile, and play. So that is the first half of this presentation. Let's have some fun. I always enjoy this. Let's do a little sentence diagramming. So I'm just going to give you guys some examples of some classic sentence diagram structures. So let's work on compound subject with a compound predicate first. I'm just going to go, this is where we have some fun. Compound subject with compound predicate. So a sentence diagram is designed to help you learn the parts of the sentence and how they work together. It's really good at helping you find subjects and predicates. Okay, so if we have a compound subject, as in the sentence, Joe and Bob ate fish and rice. Okay, there's a sentence. Joe and Bob ate fish and rice. Well, how do we diagram that? Well, it looks like this. All right, so Joe and Bob ate fish and rice. That's a classic compound subject with compound predicate. Notice you have your subject on this side, your predicate on this side. Oh, I totally messed up. Whoops. Nope, scratch that. This is a compound direct object, but let's change it to a compound predicate. Joe and Bob ate and drank. Much better. Okay. So sorry about that. Ate and drank. This is what I said at line time the other day. This is like pardon the interruption. So you got to let me know when I'm making mistakes, kids. So Joe and Bob ate and drank. I wish I had some sort of like, hey, I can communicate with you right now, but I don't. So that's okay. Joe and Bob ate and drank. That is how that actually looks. What I just did before is what I'll do next. I'll actually do something next that will be what I actually did a minute ago. So this is actually a compound subject with a compound predicate. Joe and Bob ate and drank. All right, sorry about that. Let's move on to compound subject with compound direct object. That's what I did before. Okay, so let's go back to that sentence. Joe and Bob ate fish and rice. All right, so Joe and Bob ate fish and rice, except for this time it's labeled correctly. Sorry about that. Joe and Bob ate fish and rice. So notice I have the direct object line followed by the compound direct object. So that is the correct way of doing this one. So deeply sorry for the mistake, but that is correct. Joe and Bob ate fish and rice. Okay, good one. All right, let's do compound subject, compound predicate with modifiers. Okay. Subject, predicate with modifiers, such as adjectives and adverbs. Okay, let's do the hungry shark and his friend circled the boat and waited. Actually, let's do circled the sinking boat and waited patiently. That looks kind of ominous, but the hungry shark and his friend circled the sinking boat and waited patiently. So let's go for it. Compound subject. Gotta make sure I leave some room here. Shark, friend, circled, waited. Notice, when I do this, I always start with my subjects and my predicates. Let's not complicate things. Okay, let's not complicate things by putting words not where they're supposed to be. I always have my subjects on this side, or on this side, and my predicates on this side. So let's add our ands. Circled and. So now I've got my ands there, my conjunctions. The hungry shark, uh-oh, those are modifiers. The hungry and his friend, you guys know what kind of adjective that is. That is a possessive adjective, so I've got that side done. The hungry shark and his friend circled. What did they circle? Go into logical analysis. Boat, direct object, but it's the and sinking. Technically, I might want to make that a participle, but I can leave that as an adjective for now. And waited patiently. Patiently is an adverb. You always look for that ly. So compound subject and compound predicate with modifiers. The hungry shark and his friend circled the sinking boat and waited patiently. So those are just 3 fun little compound subject, compound predicate forms. So what's your follow-up here? Okay, I want you to do a sentence, diagram a sentence that is compound subject. I'm writing too quickly. Compound predicate, like my first example, after I got it right. The next one is diagram a sentence that is compound subject with compound direct object. That one kind of, we get to do that one because that's the one I messed up with. And 3, diagram a sentence that is compound subject, compound predicate with modifiers. I added a direct object. You can just do adjective and adverbs if you'd like. So, diagram a sentence that is compound subject, compound predicate. Diagram a sentence that is compound subject with compound direct object. Diagram a sentence that is compound subject, compound predicate, that's CSCP, with modifiers. And yes, I'm going to follow our usual rules, kids. Always, always, always have sentences with one more word than your grade level. So that's your challenge. So 7th graders, your sentence diagrams have to have 8 words at least, and 8th graders just have to have 9. 9th graders, 10 words or more. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. It's sort of a hybrid. I just wanted to have some fun with you. I did want to get to the perfect progressive tense, which we did, but I also love sentence diagramming, and I think it's a ton of fun, and it just makes grammar fun and interesting for everybody. At least I think so. So say goodbye to Charmander, and I'll see you later.